Hey everybody, it's Serena. How are you guys today? I am finishing up a couple of little projects that I had planned for 4th of July, and it is the day before 4th of July, so it's July 3rd. And I thought, well, I better get them done now, so at least I have them. I do keep my decor up for until summer's end because I do decorate my family room in Americana, and so to me, I'm not late. I'm just adding to my decor. So make sure that if you're here, that you sprinkle this out to people, and just put July in the comments, and I can get you the info for this project. So what you're going to need is now I just grabbed. I don't know if you're like me, but I do save my toilet paper rolls. Because you never know. Sometimes I'll do crafts with the kids, and actually, this might be not be a bad idea to do with the kids. This is a pretty easy project. You'll also use up some leftover fabric, and I just grabbed a piece of white fabric to make some tags. I'm going to show you. I did actually make a few that I wanted to share, and so. I'll go through all the steps, but I made a few. I didn't figure you wanted to watch all the paint dry and all the Mod Podge dry. So I just did a few. The little firecrackers, aren't they cute? And they're bowl fillers or tchotchkes or whatever you want. You know, you could add them to a tiered tray. You could add them to a vignette. I love little things like this. Like if you take neighbor gifts for like 4th of July or a 4th of July party, a tray of cookies, add these around it. Super cute. Okay. So again, I'm actually, because I just got back from ChalkCon, which is our convention, I got this ash paste. And so we're going to use this paste. We're going to actually do this first, so it gives it time to dry. The other thing that I grabbed is, so I was saying this morning, I actually ran out of an embellishment, so I guess I have to like order some more. But the whole point is to run out of things, but not me. I want to have them all, and I obviously use that. So the transfer that I'm using is American Made Minis. You guys, I have used this so many times. And yes, we are using them with paste and not ink. You can use ink if you want, but I'm using paste. I used 3 of these so far. I did try to do the American Dream and cut it off, but I don't think so. I don't think it works for what I'm doing. So I'm going to use this one that says Freedom. And I do have an ink mat to just kind of hold my fabric down flat. And then I'm going to also use this little guy right here. So just lay these down on your fabric. I didn't have to fuzz it. First of all, I've used this so many times. But second of all, it's on fabric. And even though I'm using paste, it's still on fabric. Okay. I'm just using it in, because the fabric is that I'm using on the firecracker itself is so colorful. I didn't want to add too many more colors and clash it. And so we're just using this ash. You could use storm, you could use blue, you could, whatever color you want. I just thought this was a really cool color. It's kind of like black and storm mixed together. Like what's that gray? I'll think of it. So again, if you want any of the information for this project, just put July in the comments and I can get that to you. And fill these up. Isn't that pretty? There. I love that. Every time. Every time. Perfect. Beautiful. I'm going to set these over. You guys, I'm crafting in the kitchen today because my craft room is still a hot mess. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. And then we're going to work on our toilet paper roll. I do have some Mod Podge. So what I did is, sorry, you guys, my alarm's going on. What I did is to cover the top right here, I used a little bit of that white fabric and just laid that over. And then I just cut some squares that were a little bit bigger than the length of the toilet paper roll. And I'll show you what I did. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my Mod. I'm almost out of Mod Podge, you guys. I had to add a little bit of water to my Mod Podge. Now you can use school glue. You can use whatever. Mod Podge essentially is just school glue and water. And so I just put Mod Podge around the top. And it doesn't matter that there's like toilet paper remnants. It doesn't even matter because it's going to be covered up. Okay. And then my Claritin has not kicked in yet. You guys, I just got back from being in Kansas City for a week, and I came back to bad allergies. I'm fine. I'm not sick at all, but and it's been kind of crazy weather here. Now I'm just going over and just laying it down with the Mod Podge. I'm using a sponge brush. I don't know. It tends to hold the Mod Podge a little better and really like squeeze into. You can use any brush you've got. You don't need a sponge brush if you don't have a sponge brush. Okay. But look how nice that just lays down. All right. Okay. So then I'm going to load my brush up again with Mod Podge. I have this big, huge jar of it, and of course, the Mod Podge is all the way at the bottom. So laying on its side. All right. So I'm just going to load up all the way around. All the way around. And then just determine where you want. I'm just going to lay this like that. I'm not going all the way to the top. You don't have to. And then just start turning it and laying it down flat. Now it's going to overlap, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit more Mod Podge on the overlap area. And also just know that Mod Podge does dry clear. So even if it shows, it's not going to show. And then I'm just going to like seal the seam with some more Mod Podge. Okay. Now, you can do one of two things. You can cut the extra fabric. I did not. I lined the inside of the tube with some Mod Podge and then just folded that in. Lay it down. And just flatten it out. Make sure that it's got some glue on it. And just like that. All right. So I'm going to let that dry. Let me wash my hands really quick because I've got glue on it everywhere. All right. I did do one so that it would dry so you didn't have to wait and we could go on. So here's my one that's dry. Now let me cut, let's see. So these are probably still a little wet. Yeah, those are a little wet. I just stepped away really quick and dried those with my heat tool. It is in my craft room and I didn't want to go grab it. I don't want to bring you guys in there. It's such a mess right now. And so now what we're going to do is we're just going to cut these out since they are dry now. Now these have an interesting shape. You could go around them. The one has an interesting shape. The other one is just a circle. And so we could go around that little circle. I'm not going to go into all the little grooves. Also, if you guys aren't getting my notification when I go live, just put live in the comments and I can send you a little reminder every time I go live. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to kind of go around the shape a little bit. So if you want the project info, put July. If you want to make sure that you're notified when I go live, put live in the comments. Just put live, L-I-V-E. You don't have to get technical with your cutting. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so let's set those aside. Let's see. So the fireworks one, let's see what I want. I think I want that there and that there. Okay. So on the ones I did before, I did some at the bottom, these two at the bottom, and this one at the top. Okay. So it doesn't really matter where you put it, top or bottom. Doesn't matter. It just matters that this is at the top when you do put it on. Okay. All right. So I grabbed my, sorry, you guys, let me turn this off. I'm in my kitchen and I forget that my ice machines are on. When we're in my craft room, you can't really hear them. So I'm just putting a little bit of Mod Podge on the back. And then I'm going to just slap it on. It's like this. Smooth it out. Okay. And then I'm going to take my Mod Podge, my paintbrush with the Mod Podge, and I'm going to just kind of press it down. Press down those edges. And again, this will dry clear. It's like that. Okay. Now we don't have to wait for the glue to dry on this one to do this one. So we'll do this. I just try to put the seam in the back. Same thing, just, go over it with the Mod Podge. I think this is why I like using the foam brush, because you can kind of like load it up and then just kind of push the Mod Podge in. I'm gonna let that dry. All right. Let me wash my hand real quick. Okay. So let's make, the first thing I did on the firecracker things is I made these little guys because and I tried it different ways. And so this one is what worked for me. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to take, I don't know, 2 inches, 2-inch lengths, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, whatever you want. You could trim them down. And I just took 3 little lengths of it. Okay. And then I have my cute little glue gun. You guys, if you didn't see my glue gun before, this is by Bleds, BLEDS, and it is a wireless glue gun. It's actually, it does not burn my skin off. It's a little mini. Oh, it helps if I turn it on. That would be helpful. Oh my gosh. You got to turn it on. Turn on the glue gun. Note to self. Yeah, it's important that your glue gun is charged. So it's charging and I can't move it. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the end here real quick. So just put a little bit of glue at the end. Let it cool down just a bit before you touch it. You don't want to burn your fingers. And then I just kind of make a point with that glue, just like that. And then this is super technical. This is super technical. I used a knife, or you could also use, I have a skewer with a pointy end, and I poked a hole in the top. So if you don't have a skewer, use a knife, poke a hole at the top, and then that pointy end just gets shoved down in the hole. And again, this is charging. Yeah, it takes about 5 minutes for any wireless glue gun to heat up. So just, before you start crafting, make sure that you charge your glue gun or turn it on, plug it in. All right. And then just let that dry, harden up. And then once it's hardened, like this one's hardened, I just unraveled the jute twine a little bit. So it's a little explosive. Just like that. And now if they're too long for you, you can trim them. Holding it up in the air is a little more difficult than having it on the table or the counter. You guys, this is so fun. So cute, easy, really inexpensive. And minus the glue gun, you could probably do this with kids. Put something on your table or your workspace. Give them some sponge brushes with some glue on it. Just like that. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wrap some jute twine around a couple times. I do about 3 times. Okay. And then just tie a double knot. just like that. And then I'm going to put a dab of glue in there on that knot. And then I've got these little rusty stars. And I'm just going to put that in the center of that glue. Let that dry. And then I'll trim the jute and unfurl it too. So I'll unfurl all this and probably trim it. That's kind of long. You guys, how cute that is. Simple, right? And again, you could probably do this with kids. They could do the chalking on fabric, easy peasy. They could wrap, or they could use the Mod Podge. And if you don't have fabric, you could even use like scrapbook paper. I think you could do it with scrapbook paper. Cute, right? All right, so I'm gonna let like the glue and the Mod Podge dry on that. And this is what you're gonna get. Everything is all dried, cute, cute. I did trim that one. So again, if you want to give it a little bitty haircut. So it's not so big, just like that. Cute, right? I'll finish these and I'll take a picture. But thank you guys for being here. So fun. And again, I just use scrap fabric. This is all fabric that I had. They're all just like scraps. And toilet paper rolls. Even the white is scrap fabric. Some jute twine. I already had these little stars. I can tell you where I got them. I'm going to get some more. The jute, obviously, I use jute quite often. And these stars are just adorable. I need some more. If you want any information, just put July in the comments. If you're not getting notified when I go live, make sure you put live in the comments. Oh, and before I forget, next week we have a launch. And this is gift with purchase. Any order that you put on my website next Tuesday, and I'll make sure I share that info with you. You get this transfer for free. Any order, transfer for free. On the 8th only. On the 8th only, you're going to get this transfer. How cute is that one? This is a cutie. So make sure that you put July in the comments and I will get you all the info. You guys, thank you so much for being here today. This has been Tarina with Create with Tree. That's me. See you next time. Bye, everybody.